So hey, hi. So if anyone is watching this video, hello, my name is Icy and welcome to my channel. If anyone is watching this aside from my mom. So today I have a video that absolutely no one has ever asked for, because no one ever asked me to do this video. No one at all, because no one watches my channel. Very sad. But anyway, here I am, here you are, and thank you. So because no one asked, I have a process video of the last calligraphy wedding suite that I did. So a little backstory. The year I got married, my husband and I decided to DIY the... Am I allowed to swear?
Nope.
We decided to DIY the out of our wedding. So I basically did our envelopes, place cards, table names, seating chart, signage. I did all of those in what I thought at the time was calligraphy. I had a lot of fun being very hands-on, getting to create all of these things for our wedding because we wanted to make it as unique and as personalized as we can. And then later down the track, I thought, oh, maybe I could offer this service to people. And fortunately enough, I was able to provide my calligraphy services to both paid and unpaid projects. And later down the track, I started getting inquiries from strangers, which was amazing. But I seem to have had more inquiries from potential clients who tried to, how do I say this without sounding rude and possibly be demonetized? Not that my YouTube channel is paying me any money at the moment. So I get inquiries where I either get ghosted or they try to haggle with me, try to get as much as they can and pay as little as they can. Because of potential customers like that, I felt very undervalued and very underappreciated and harassed even sometimes. That's when I realized this is something that I really don't want to do anymore. I mean, I'm happy to do it for my friends, but for strangers, probably not. But I did get people who actually appreciate my work, but the joy I felt while creating seemed to diminish. And I didn't like that. So the thing about having a creative business is you can actually change the trajectory that your business goes in. So initially I had thought that I would be doing wedding calligraphy forever. But I actually feel more fulfilled and more appreciated whenever I teach calligraphy workshops. These people are actually interested in learning the craft, and once they actually see the work, the love, the effort, the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into doing calligraphy, they actually have a better appreciation and understanding of the craft. So this is why I've decided to trajectize to go towards the direction of teaching rather than doing stuff for people. So I prepared a process video of how I did my friend's wedding calligraphy suite. So I did her envelope addressing, her place cards, her seating chart, and her signage. And I'm hoping that future brides-to-be who are aiming to DIY their wedding like I did will be able to find this video helpful. So basically everything starts out with a draft, and I like drafting everything in Procreate first, and then I transfer the design onto paper. What I like about working with acrylic sheets is that you can actually trace stuff. So before you actually start tracing, just make sure that you clean the acrylic sheet first. And my favorite acrylic pen to use is this Liquitex pen. I've actually gone through so many different kinds of acrylic paint markers, but this is my favorite one. I guess people have different paint marker preferences. I've never tried oil markers on acrylic sheets, but there are people who have, and again, it's just a matter of trying and testing stuff out until you find what works best for you. As you can see on the signages that I am about to do in this video, I've actually typed up and printed actual fonts from my computer, because I'm really hopeless with just freehand writing everything in block letters. Hey, you gotta do what makes things easy for you, right? So anyway, as I was saying, I've tried out so many different acrylic markers in the past, and I find that most of them actually streak whenever I go over some of the strokes, whereas with the marker that I'm using right now, the Liquitex paint marker, it doesn't streak at all. So there's different techniques that calligraphers actually use. Some of them use an actual paintbrush and use paint, so it really depends on personal preference and what makes things easier for you. There's no one correct way of doing signages. It's just a matter of technique, I guess. Oh, and another fun fact about this marker that I'm using is that it's chisel tipped. So the first time I used it, I was having a really hard time, but I got used to it. And another thing about paint markers is that I find that I shake them quite often and press on the nib so that the ink flows better. And I go over the letters quite a few times just so the ink looks opaque. And with gold markers, I find that this is the best one for me because I've tried Posca, I've tried Sakura Pentel, and I've tried other different gold markers, and they're not as metallic or shiny as Liquitex. And I think that this is the best acrylic pen to use on acrylic sheets. So now we're done with the front parts of the signages. Sometimes some calligraphers like to leave the acrylic signages as is. It also depends on the bride and the venue and where the signage is positioned, but sometimes painting on the back of the acrylic sheet enhances the look of the signage. I've seen a lot of people get really creative with painting their acrylic signages. Some people have ombre paint, some people have gold gilded backgrounds, and it really depends on the bride, I guess. Okay, let's move on to envelopes now. So I'm very old school. I like using pencils, rulers, and erasers when drafting. Some people use laser pointers. Some people use light pads. Again, there is no one single correct way of doing envelope addressing. I think it's just personal preference and the materials that you have available. The thing about using pencil for drafting is that sometimes I draft multiple times. I keep on writing and erasing until there's like pencil indentations on the actual envelope, and that's not really a pretty look. So what I would usually do is I would practice on a separate piece of paper first, and then when I'm happy with the draft, I draft it again on the actual envelope. For weddings, I actually prefer using pointed pen, especially when the theme and the vibe of the wedding is elegant. But then again, I see calligraphers use brush pens for their wedding calligraphy. I guess it just really depends on the vibe and the preference of the bride. A few years ago, I decided to take up Logos Calligraphy's copperplate course, and I really loved it. And then I moved on to her Fearless Flourishing course, which I was able to apply onto this wedding calligraphy suite, and I really love the timeless look of copperplate calligraphy. Sometimes I use modern calligraphy, but it really depends on the couple and what style they prefer, the vibe of the wedding, whether is it more casual, is it more traditional, is it more elegant. I would usually show the couple some of the styles that I can do, and sometimes they would even show me some inspiration that they've found. Yeah, it's really about finding that common ground on what style to use and what style that they prefer. So with my place cards, they're not so different from how I do my envelopes. So again, I use pencils and rulers to draft and then finalize with the calligraphy tool that I will be using. So the gold ink that I've used for these place cards is Dr. P.H. Martin's Copperplate Gold. So there's so many different variations of metallic inks out there that you can try. So different types of ink react differently to different types of paper, so it's just really a matter of trial and error. Always remember to have spare place cards and envelopes just in case of mistakes or mishaps. What did you think about that? So PS, I am not claiming to be the best wedding calligrapher of all time. So this is just how I personally did stuff, and I'm not claiming to be right because there are other ways of doing things, and there's nothing wrong with looking at the other ways of how to do things, especially when you want to make things easy for yourself. But just letting you know, coming from a calligrapher, there's just so much work that goes into wedding calligraphy. I saw this post once. It says something like, "You're not paying me for the minutes that I do the work, you're paying me for the years that I've spent building myself professionally." There's just a lot of work that goes through behind the scenes. Personally, I strive to better my craft by putting in a lot of hours into practice, purchasing courses, attending workshops. It all comes down to that, and I feel like, again, it's a very underappreciated and undervalued service. I give up. So if you're aspiring to be like a wedding calligrapher or simply just DIYing your wedding, I would highly recommend not aiming for perfection, because that is what is gonna eat you alive. But really, it's just really about practicing the skill, and it doesn't have to be perfect because chances are the guests at your wedding aren't calligraphers and they won't criticize your work. I don't know where I'm getting with this, but I think it's a really good thing to DIY your own wedding or DIYing stuff for people. I think that's a beautiful gift to someone, because that is what I offer to friends.
I think my love language is like act of service, because I like suck at giving gifts.
I think it's a very fulfilling thing, creating things for people. And if you want to be a wedding calligrapher, please do not be discouraged by my experiences. Not everything I say happens to all of the wedding calligraphers out there. It's like a multifaceted thing. But what I would recommend for those who would like to get into wedding calligraphy is do a lot of research, maybe partner up with other wedding vendors, and just getting yourself out there. So I'll also leave links to the Instagram handles of my amazingly talented calligrapher friends who do calligraphy for weddings and events and stuff, and draw inspiration from them. If you're thinking of doing this as a side hustle, good luck, checks. Go for it, and there's nothing wrong with trying things. Down the road it might grow into something beautiful, or you can find something else, or you know, the possibilities are endless. Just get yourself out there, go to your wedding. And also, an important thing about doing something creative is to have fun. So if anyone is watching this and you've made it to the end, thank you so much. Especially if you're not my mom. Seriously, why do I have my hands like this? At the end of the video, I sincerely thank you from the bottom of my heart.